We've been growing our own food for about 10 years and have reaped massive harvests using a no-till method that took years to establish. However, when we moved onto this property late last year, we inherited a crazy garden. It was totally neglected for years. The weeds were 10 feet high at least. This place was a jungle, and it's going to take a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to get this place back into shape to grow more food. The seeds that Tanya started in February have to get in the ground within the next week or so. So we got to get this thing ready. Before we get started, something's not quite right. There we go. So today there's a few things we got to do. First, this tarp has got to come off. We did make a video about why we use this tarp and when we put it on and all those things. I'll leave a link in the description for that. First things first, we got to get this off, see what we're dealing with, and then we're going to till. See, I got the tiller here today. We're going to till the whole thing. You know, the goal eventually is a complete no-till method year after year. But initially, because the weed seeds were so established, we got to uproot a lot of that stuff and kind of start from scratch. So that's what we're doing today. Let's do it. Tanya's actually not home yet, so I'm going to attempt to get this massive tarp off by myself. I think it's like a 35 by 50. We'll see how this goes. Well, tilled the whole thing, but expectations are pretty low this year for the garden space, just because the soil was so depleted and filled with weeds. I mean, if you look out here, there's a ton of clay dirt. So it's going to take some work. Not sure how it's all going to pan out this year, but it's definitely going to require quite a bit of work. There were definitely some areas that had more organic matter than others. Up here was pretty dark along the fence line behind the coop. It's pretty dark, rich soil, but man, a lot of this down here was terrible. There's a lot of big rocks. I'll show you one I pulled out. Pulled out this giant rock. Could barely move it. That thing is really heavy. And then here's another giant rock. I don't know if you can see that. Just not sure how this is all going to pan out. Excited to talk to Tanya when she gets home, see what she thinks after tilling this. Now I will say the areas where we put down leaves, which wasn't the whole thing because we got started kind of late, but this area we put down a lot of leaves, and that it seemed okay. It seemed better than down here where we did not put leaves. So whew. Not sure how this is going to play out, but we'll keep at it here. I'm going to do a little more tilling in some areas that seemed a little rough and see if I can dig some of these rocks out and go from there. Tanya's home. Let's see what she thinks.
Well, that's Naomi. It's not what I didn't expect. I kind of expected this space to be a little bit of a hot mess, so I'm not necessarily disappointed, but it does show me the amount of work that we have ahead of us. There's a lot of rock. I think at one point there must have been rock pathways in the garden, because it kind of reminds me of like that. It's like small little pebbles But the positive, there's a lot of earthworms. So that at least tells me there is organic matter here. They want to live here. It's not void of life. That is all positive. It's just going to require some work to build up this soil, to add more organic matter. And this year, we just hold our expectations a little loosely, and we just pray that we grow enough of food that at least we have for the season. I might not grow as much as I normally do to provide for the whole year, but that's okay. We're building up a new plot. Anything else? One of the things that keeps me hopeful too in working in like a healthy ecosystem is we have our chickens. They're right next to the garden. We clean out our coop at least once every 3 months. So we are going to be putting that on our compost pile and creating rich compost for our garden. I have seen chicken manure do wonders for soil. So we're definitely going to utilize our chickens in the next few years. Right now they're scratching up. There's other bugs in here that we don't want, slugs and pill bugs. I didn't see a lot of that, but there was some. Just a lot of rock. We're growing a lot of rock right now. Now that the garden is tilled up, this is where the real planning comes in, because I wasn't really sure how to plan that on paper until I saw the soil that we're working with. And because the garden has different pockets, like some pockets are really rocky, some pockets are kind of sandy, I'm basically gonna plan my crops around the best areas and then work on building up the worst areas over the next year. So I'm gonna take some stakes, I have some twine, and we're gonna mark out the rows. I'm gonna rake them, try to get as much as like the big rocks out that I can. I'm gonna lay topsoil on top because we still have a pile in the pasture. And then when I plant, I will put compost really heavily in that hole and just hope for the best. In all honesty, transparency, I'm feeling really overwhelmed. But it's like I always tell my kids, sometimes you have to do things that you don't want to and that feel overwhelming, and you just try your best that you can today. So today, I'm gonna do the best that I can today, and every day I'll do a little bit, and just push through that overwhelming feeling, because sometimes you just have to do that.